Thanks for joining me today. My name's Cody and this is Piscean Plant Boy. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be showing you how to make a moss pole. Please make sure to like and subscribe. That would really help me out to grow this channel. And thanks for joining me on my plant journey. So let me show you what you're going to need today. First, some of the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need wire cutters. I like to use an X-Acto knife to cut our plastic. And then you're going to want a pair of scissors. You're also going to want a piece of plastic like this, and I will link the kind that I use in the link in the description below. You're also going to need some of this hardware cloth, or I think they call it like rat or mouse fencing. It's like a centimeter inch grid. I like the really hard stuff so it can support itself. It doesn't need extra support. And you're going to need zip ties. You're also going to need sphagnum moss. And this is already pre-wet. So you want to make sure you're using wet moss. I think that's pretty much about as far as supplies go. I also forgot to mention you're going to need your plant. Here's my Monstera addisonii. These are cuttings that I took, and they should be ready to be planted up. You're also going to need your pot. I like using terracotta, so I have a pot and saucer. Okay, to begin, I like to measure your pot. So this is a 6-inch pot. I'll probably make it like 5 inches so it doesn't take up the whole pot. And so what you want to do with that is you're going to take your hardware cloth and you're going to cut 5 inches. And I believe that this is half-inch grid, so we'll need 10. So 4, 6, 8, 10. So I'm gonna cut an extra. I also want to make sure that it's long enough. So yeah, that'll be long. So this is the paper or the plastic that I'm going to use. I'm going to cut this down though, and then I'll show you how to do that as well. So we just want to cut some more, and we're going to go this way. Yeah, I'm just trying to cut it so it's as easy as possible because I don't want to make a mess or hurt yourself. So be careful when you're cutting these. Okay, so this is cut. I'm going to move this and put this so it's out of the way. And then you're going to want this. You're going to want the width to be a little bit, the width here to be a little bit wider. But I don't want this moss pole to be too big. So, and I think this might be a little too big. So I'm going to cut maybe half an inch to an inch off of this. But I also want to make sure that it's the same length lengthwise. So this one is, see, there's the extra. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Put this to the side for now because we're going to cut down our paper or plastic. Sorry, I keep saying paper, but it's plastic. So I have a cutting mat. So I went to art school, so I have a lot of these supplies. You don't need the cutting mat or the X-Acto knife. You can actually just use a pair of scissors, but this is the easiest way. So I think I want to take an inch off. So this cutting mat has lines on it, but for those who can't see, there's measurements on this board, so I'm just going to measure, and what you can do is measure it and just put marks. And then if you have a ruler, you can measure it this way and cut it. If you don't, you can eyeball it. But I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just score down it. With the X-Acto knife, it might take 1 or 2 scores. With scissors, you should only have to do it once. But you know what? Better to do it the right way. That way you don't have to redo it. Okay, so there's a little bit more. See, well, we can just pull it. Okay, cool. And then this is some scrap. Put that to the side. You now have your appropriate size piece of paper. And what you're going to want to do is, I forgot to mention, you're also going to need a hole puncher. And what I like to do is just, you can do it like mathematically or methodically. And you can do it evenly. So you're going to want one at the top. We'll put one there. And then we can do one like every 4 inches. So then we're going to mark the other side as well. And that way, so it's just even and looks nice. So then you're going to take the hole puncher, or you can just poke holes in it with a knife or scissors or something if you don't have one of these. I had this on hand, so we'll just poke. We're going to poke holes. Since I don't like cleaning up big messes, I have this little tray that I like to work in. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get our zip ties. Let's see, so we have 10 holes for the size, so we're going to need 10 zip ties. So 3, 6, 9, 10. And if you're just trying to purchase, I would make sure that you have some extra, because sometimes I do mess up on this part. So you're going to want to just put it in there and pull it close. Before you start filling your moss pole with moss, you want to measure your pole, because you're going to be putting it in there and you don't want moss. You don't want to use the moss all the way through the pot, because you don't want your plants to get that wet. So what I'm actually going to do is just stick it in there and measure it. So that's where you want to start putting your moss. I actually think that my pot is, or my plastic is too wide, so I'm actually going to cut it down some more. And I want it to be about there, so I'm going to actually just use my scissors and use the pole as a guide. It won't be perfect, but that's okay. Sisters, not twins, right? So after you do that, I'm going to have to re-punch the holes, so bear with me. Okay, so we re-punch these. Now you want to start putting your moss in, so we can just start sticking it in. And again, I don't want this to be super big, so we're not gonna pack it too full, but you still want it to be packed enough that they stay wet. So again, about there. You can just measure to see how full it is. There we go. Okay, so the next thing you're gonna do is take your zip ties and just, I like to start at one end. That way you can add, like, see, I need more moss here. I'm gonna add some this way, and also pack it down this way. And since it's towards the top, we can always add more later. Since I don't want this to go all the way down to the bottom, I'm gonna start taking your soil, and this is the blend that I use. I start with some potting mix. I use Espoma, or this is, what is it, Happy Frog or Ocean Frog, something like that. I add let's see, so like 4 cups of the potting soil, 2 cups perlite, no, 1 cup perlite, 1 cup orchid bark, and 1 cup worm castings. And so that way it's nice and coarse, and there's a lot of drainage, especially since this is a monstera and aroids really love chunky mix. So I make sure to have lots of additives to it. So I just want to put some down in there. That should be good. Then we can put our moss pole in. And you can adjust it there. And then I like to put some in there. Make sure to get the soil into the moss pole as well. And we're going to start filling up our pot with more soil. I have cuttings, so I'm going to fill it up pretty far. So I think that's enough. Let me just tap it. We're going to make room for the cuttings. So let's see of the cuttings which ones are good to go. So all but 3, and I'll just stick those back in the water. And we can add those back in at a later time. So the next thing I do is I just start placing them. Our soil and just start filling it the rest of the way up. Sorry, my nose is so itchy. Isn't there's a saying, isn't there something that, like, if your nose is itching, it means someone is talking to you about you? Old wise tale. Okay. So I can still see there's some space where inside the moss pole, or the bottom of the moss pole, there's some room for soil. So I'm just going to hit this to see if I can get some more in there. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some water, and I'm going to water it to see if that puts it down. I'm also going to grab some plant Velcro so we can tie it up. I forgot to mention that I do use that, so I will be right back. And we're going to just water it. So let's just put some more because as you can like see, there's not the water hasn't run through yet. So okay, so that's pretty watered. And then we're gonna take our plant Velcro or string or anything else. You can use any kind of stringer. What's that? Brown, fine, like stuff. You can use that. And what I like to do is just take it and measure it. So just so we're not being wasteful. That's about it. So we have about this much length. And I'm gonna cut that. And see, I think we might need 2 pieces, so I'm gonna cut 2 pieces. And I really like the Velcro because it's adjustable and reusable. I have used other plant stuff and floral tape in the past, but you can't really reuse that stuff and it's not as good. This is just barely big enough. So I put one there, and then I'm gonna do one higher up for some of the longer ones. Oh, missed a piece. So if you miss a piece, I like the Velcro because you can just undo it and adjust it. The other ones, it's a lot harder to adjust. So as you can see, like we made our moss pole kind of small. For this plant, it'll probably quickly outgrow this. So you do want to be able to make it adjustable or to like expand on top of it. So just keep that in mind as you're putting these together. But there we go. And that's pretty much it. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. I wanted to show you what the final thing looked like. Um, there we go. So thanks for joining me here today. I really enjoyed showing you how to do this. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like seeing this type of content. I'll be posting in the future. I post it once a week on Fridays, usually at noon. So make sure to subscribe to get my videos in the future. Thanks.